it's Scarlett here, and I hope you're doing well. So I thought it would be fun to do a little Valentine's Day love spell for you guys, because I know Valentine's Day is coming up and a lot of you have expressed interest in learning how to do a love spell. I did a love spell a little while back on a previous video a long time ago, but for this one I wanted to do something a bit quicker, a bit easier. So this particular love spell will be about how to bring love into your life, and I will be using a couple different techniques. I'll be incorporating some tarot cards into the spell, as well as using a custom sigil. So do please follow along with me in the video, and I'd love to hear in the comments down below what you think about this particular spell, or if you have tried your own love spells and how they worked out for you. So I hope you all enjoy this today, and let's jump right in. Okay, so this is my little setup for my love spell today. I have some sage and a simple abalone shell to catch the ashes. I have just 4 simple red candlelight holders and a little tea light in the back. I have a cauldron with a simple unlit tea light in the center. Over here I have a little anointing oil, a simple rose quartz, and a black silk bag. I have some paper and a red Sharpie. I have some unlit incense on a bed of salt, as well as some dried rose petals. And here in the center I have 3 different tarot cards that I associate with love and relationships. So of course in the middle we have the Lover's card. This particular Lover's card is from the Botticelli deck. Let me see if my camera will focus in on it. There we go. And I often use tarot cards in my spells. I know that's not, something many people do, but I find that it works pretty well. And here I have the 2 of Cups, and this one's from the Wild Unknown deck. And while most people associate the Lover's card most strongly with relationships and love, the 2 of Cups might actually be a better card to connect with those things. Oftentimes in decks you'll see a couple about to get married or in some type of celebration and they're toasting each other. The 2 of Cups is a really beautiful card and works very well for any type of love spell or any spell to bring kind of beauty or love into your life. And here on the right we have the Strength card, and this might be a bit unusual, but I've personally always viewed the Strength card to be primarily about trust and empathy. Here you can see she and the bear here are in perfect harmony. They trust each other and they have that empathetic understanding about one another. And likewise, within relationships, trust is such a huge, important aspect of any relationship, and trust is oftentimes one of the first things that can get violated in a relationship and destroy a relationship, one of the hardest things to get back once that trust is lost. So because this card is so much ties into ideas like trust, I'm adding it to my collection here. So we have our 3 cards in the center, and I'm just going to start with lighting the sage here in order to cleanse the space. So I like to start by just saging the area 3 times in a counterclockwise direction. Just kind of cleansing the rose quartz here, the tarot cards, and kind of setting the space. And I also like to go ahead and light the incense here. And the incense will help bring in kind of that energy of air into the spell today. And I also have an anointing liquid that I'm going to put a little drop of it onto the rose quartz that we'll be using later in the ritual. So just kind of anointing this and maybe a simple star and putting that back. Now, the primary aspect of this particular spell is going to be a sigil spell. And for that, you're going to need a piece of paper and a pen of some sort. And I just used the Sharpie here as just relighting my incense there. Just using a Sharpie here so it's kind of very visible here in the red color, again, tying in to that energy that we're working with today. So if you're not familiar with sigils, basically you're taking a word or a phrase, eliminating some letters, and then redesigning that in a particular shape that appeals to you. So, for example, say I want to bring love into my life. So I might go ahead and write, bring love into my life. So next, in order to reduce the letters, I'm going to cross out all of the vowels. And so I have B, R, N, G, L, and then any duplicates you only need to do once, so I'll cross that out. T, M, and L, and F. Okay, so all together I would be left with B, R, N, G, L, V, M, and F. So these letters I'm going to then arrange into a particular kind of image, and this is kind of just trusting your own intuition here. There's no specific way to do this. So I'm just gonna go for it and see where it takes me. So I got the B, R, N, G, L, V, M, and then F. And then, to make it kind of a little fancy too, you can, feel free to draw any little decorations, anything that might inspire you. Might as well put a little heart up here, no harm in that for this particular spell. And just kind of working with it until it feels right. This is really just kind of trusting what feels good to you in this particular moment. So I think that looks pretty good. And then the next portion here, I'm just going to take that sigil, laying it on top of the tarot cards. And then I'm going to also take the rose quartz, lay it on top, as well as my rose petals. I might actually go ahead and lay the rose petals on there. Then next, what you're going to do is you're going to try and kind of infuse that love energy into these materials here, the rose quartz, the sigil, and your dried rose petals. So just taking a moment to kind of sit with the concept of love, sit with your intention, which in my case is to bring love into my life in many different forms. So that's not just relationships, that can just be any type of feeling of compassion and love into my life. But you can choose something more specific. It's up to you on what you would like your intention to be for this particular spell. So taking a moment, and you may even want to, put on some calming music and meditate and just kind of focus in on that intention to visualize it in your head as coming true, to see it as if it has already happened, and then projecting those energies, projecting that emotion into the sigil, the rose petals, and the rose quartz here. And then after you've sat with that for a moment, after you've really kind of tried to sense those energies and project them into your sigil and the various materials here, what you're going to do is you're going to light your interior candle, and be sure you have this one in a fire-safe bowl. And I'm just going to start with putting in some of those dried rose petals. And I might want to make sure the light doesn't go out. That could take a couple tries here. There we go. Okay, so now I have burned all the rose petals into the cauldron here. And next you're going to be burning your sigil. And probably this paper is a little bit too big, so I'm just going to tear it in order to make it a bit smaller so it's easier to burn. Of course, if you have a larger cauldron, this won't be a problem. And I'm just making it a little bit smaller here, folding it up, and then slowly being careful to light it, and just kind of keeping an eye on it while it burns here, and then eventually dropping it into the cauldron. Try not to set your apartment on fire or the smoke alarm. That is the key. So now we have just sent our intention, sent our sigil out into the world. And I like to just kind of maybe put my rose quartz on top of that, capturing in that heat, capturing in that intention. And just kind of let it burn down slowly. And the final step is going to be to take your little bag, and you can use any type of bag, and put your rose quartz in there. And then once this has burned down and finally completely cooled, I'm actually going to take the ashes from those rose petals and from that sigil and close it into a bag and lay it under my pillow for a day or two. And the goal is to kind of, once you've done your spell, you can kind of just forget it. Just trust in the universe that you've sent that intention out into the world, and that likewise these feelings of love that you're requesting will come back to you. So I hope you enjoyed this little demonstration of how to do a love spell for, of course, we have Valentine's Day coming up, so I thought this would be fun. And do please post your questions in the comments. There are a multitude of different kinds of love spells and different ways to do spells in general. So this is just kind of a quick little love and sigil kind of magic that I put together for you guys. But I often base my spell work on intuition, how I'm feeling during that day and what I desire, as opposed to following any particular rule book or any one system of doing things. So I'd love to know what you guys think. If you guys perform a similar spell at home, let me know how it went and what your results were. So I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and I will see you guys next week, and happy Valentine's Day. Bye.